Hi there, John Porter here from Tech Radar, and today we are looking at the Nuraphone headphones. They were recently funded on Kickstarter, but today, finally, you can buy them directly from the manufacturer themselves. They're quite an interesting pair of headphones for a number of reasons that we're going to get into. Their in-ear, over-ear design is quite unique, and they also have a unique sound profiling ability that Nuraphone claims will tailor their sound to exactly how your ears like to listen to music. So, does it stack up? Let's have a look. So the first thing you'll notice when you pick up these headphones is they have quite an unusual in-ear and over-ear design. Now, from speaking to Nuraphone, the way they described it was that they originally started with a pair of in-ear headphones. However, they then found that what they quite wanted was to also isolate with a cushion around the ears as well to further reduce the amount of sound coming in. What this means is that you have a pair of headphones that look like a pair of over-ear headphones, but then once you put them actually on your head itself, you'll find that the in-ear portions sit quite neatly in your ear canals. I was very skeptical when I saw them that they'd actually be comfortable. However, when you put them on, you find they do sit quite nicely, and because the in-ear portions are being held on by the over-ear portions, they don't kind of jam into your ears in the same way that a normal pair of in-ear headphones does so. So, top marks for comfort. But the thing that Nuraphone are especially proud of with these headphones is the way they're able to profile your ears.
We wanted to make some special earphones that could measure your hearing automatically and then adapt the sound to your unique hearing.
Okay.
And it's all based around the idea that we hear differently, and in order to deliver the perfect sound, we need to know how you hear and then adapt the sound system to your hearing system.
The way this works, the first time you set up the headphones, you load up the app, and it'll then run through a brief setup process where it will play a number of different sounds, a number of different frequencies into your ears. It then measures the response that it gets, and it uses this to work out which frequencies your ears are and are not sensitive to.
Okay, so this is generic mode.
This is
So that's
generic.
like without any sort of... Okay, cool. And then I'll switch to personalized.
And you can listen to other people's profiles, like Basil.
Oh, weird. So you've just switched from my listening profile to Basil's listening profile there, and it just sounds completely different.
So, your personal sound profile definitely sounds better than the generic sound profile on the headphones, but we wanted to establish whether people could tell the difference between different people's sound profiles and whether they necessarily prefer their own. We went to a couple of members of the Tech Radar team, created a new sound profile, and then compared it against other people's, with the theory being that if this technology works, then it would be a night and day difference, and they definitely prefer their own. So the first person we went to, Emma, actually preferred other people's sound profiles to her own. 1 or 2. We then moved on to Andrew. We actually found that Andrew found it fairly easy to prefer his own sound profile to someone else's. Now the difference here was that Andrew could perceive a difference in volume between the left ear cup and the right ear cup.
It felt like the audio balance was off. It felt like there was more being played into the right ear than the left.
Oh, weird.
Whereas the ones that I chose, it felt like it was straight down the middle. And so actually in terms of the sort of the colour of all of it, it was harder to distinguish between the two of them. But the ones that I chose were the ones where it felt like it was an even mix.
Feel free to edit me out because I'm clearly broken.
So definitely mixed results here. We found that the sound profiling definitely gives that little bit of extra performance, but it's not a night and day difference. And it's definitely something that's there if you want to squeeze every little bit of performance out of a pair of headphones. When you look at these headphones, you actually notice there aren't any buttons on them. There are no volume buttons, for example, and there's no button for turning them on and off. This is because the headphones are capable of telling when you've put them on your head and when you've taken them off. Now in practice, we found this worked most of the time, but there were occasions where it got a little bit confused, and it took a couple of moments to work out that they're actually on our head and we did want to listen to music. Another thing worth noting is the way they have a kind of vented design. The inventor, who we spoke to earlier this week, claims that this allows it to suck in cool air from the bottom and expel it out the top. And in practice, this means they're fairly comfortable and cool to wear for an extended period of time. These aren't noise-cancelling headphones, but because of their design, we actually found they were very good at passively isolating the noise around us. We used them in an office and we could barely hear the standard office chatter around us. That said, because they're not active noise cancelling, they're not quite as good on public transport, on trains or say planes, where they won't be able to cancel out that low rumble of noise around you. Now, A final thing we want to mention is that Nuraphone have done something with these headphones that I really hope becomes a standard across a lot more of headphone companies. And they actually include a power cable that allows you to charge the headphones from your phone itself. We've got a number of different cables available, which means that you should be able to charge it from whatever phone you end up using. Top marks there, and we really hope that other people go down this same path. So, in conclusion then, this is a very interesting pair of headphones, but they're also a very expensive pair of headphones, and we're not entirely sure that they stand head and shoulders above the rest of the competition. For this price, you could get a pair of fairly good wireless noise cancelling headphones, which would ultimately cancel out noise a lot better whilst offering much of the same audio quality that the Nuraphones offer. But if you want to try out something that's genuinely quite new and very, very interesting, the Nuraphones are definitely worth a listen. So that's what we think about the headphones, but if you want to hear more, we actually sat down with the CEO of Nuraphone earlier this week. So stick around if you want to hear more about the design process and philosophy behind this very unique pair of headphones.
Cool, so we've got the headphones here. I haven't ever seen anything like this before, and I doubt many people at home will either. Can you just kind of like talk through exactly like how these things work? They look a little bit intimidating, a little bit scary, a little bit futuristic. So what was you thinking when you were designing these headphones?
We wanted to make some special earphones that could measure your hearing automatically and then adapt the sound to your unique hearing, but also delivering bass frequencies through the skin. And by separating the bass, which is delivered through this can, from the detailed treble and melodic tones that are delivered through the in-ear bud, we could deliver a more immersive experience. So you might have had the experience before of listening to very bass-heavy headphones that lacked a little bit of detail in the high frequency range. What the Nuraphone is able to do is deliver the best of both worlds. So you still get crystal clear detail, but you can get very, very powerful bass at the same time. We basically had to design a completely new interface, and it really is challenging because you have the challenges of over-ear cans and also the challenges of the in-ear bud. If you look closely though, the actual ear tip moves and is very flexible, and it's not pivoting on a conventional spring. It's actually a spring that we've designed using silicon.
Okay.
And the spring has a tendency to have this high insertion force so that it finds its position in your ear canal, but then as it depresses, it actually relaxes, and the force is not very strong at all.
Okay.
So it doesn't, cause any pressure that could lead to discomfort.
Right, and so I suppose the advantage there is like, whereas a pair of in-ears, they're being held in just by their own force entirely.
Exactly.
These have this headband, so they essentially can just sit there without needing to be like forced into your brain.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you talked earlier about it, kind of reading the specific kind of like the way each person's specific ear works. How does it do that?
There's an ear canal that's connected to an eardrum, and that eardrum is connected through 3 little bones to the cochlea. The cochlea is like the microphone inside the body that converts the mechanical energy in the sound to electrical impulses that are sent to the brain. When you send a sound through that system, that hearing system, some of that sound is converted to electrical energy that's sent off to the brain, but also some of it is sent back out of the cochlea through those little bones, and actually turns the eardrum into a little speaker.
Right.
And that sound that's emitted from the eardrum is actually encoded with information about how you heard the sound that went in. It's called the otoacoustic emission, and we can detect it with a very sensitive microphone. In fact, we're using the microphone that's used for the NASA 2020 mission, Mars mission. So it's a very good microphone that's capable of detecting a very small signal.
Okay, so it's almost working like a radar. It's kind of like sending sound in and like getting a certain amount of feedback in response and using that to work out the kind of the sound signature, not sound signature, the
sound profile,
listening,
listening profile. Yeah, except it's not a reflection. It's actually a generation from the cochlea. So the cochlea actually creates. So your ears don't just receive sound; they create sound.
Can I try them out?
Of course.
Amazing. This could take longer than I'm used to. You just. Okay, so this is generic mode.
This is
so that's
generic.
like without any sort of. Okay, cool. And then I'll switch to personalized.
And you can listen to other people's profiles, like Basil.
Oh, weird. So you've just switched from my listening profile to Basil's listening profile there, and it just sounds completely different. Okay, so I was initially a little bit skeptical when it just did the like before and after thing, because there's so many kind of products out there. Like I think Beats is definitely one of them, where they have the kind of like the Beats software on laptops that it just kind of boosts like the bass and trebles just to kind of like make it sound superficially better.
Yes. Yeah.
But the real kind of like proof of this that like actually made me like sit up and take notice was when you switched from my listening profile to Basil's listening profile, which has presumably been set up through exactly the same process.
Yes.
And suddenly it just sounds completely different. It's got a completely different sound signature.
Did yours sound better?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
Okay.
because my ears are better. So
That's good.
But yeah, no, you're completely right. Like
Yeah.
mine, kind of it sounded a lot fuller across the like entire spectrum. It sounded kind of like warm and rich and stuff, whereas Basil's just kind of sounded like putting on the wrong pair of shoes. You know?
And that's one of the funnest things about the Nuraphone is that it enables you to share and compare your hearing to the hearing of your friends, and see just how big the difference is.